You're the man. I texted you.
I love it.
And you came just like that.
Dude,
and then it was raining.
Love you. Yeah, rain. People think it's like Vaseline. It's like, people, it's rain. It's not Vaseline you're driving on.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on. And I'm from Wisconsin. I drive snow. I kind of like this weather for like a week. That's it.
Bro, look how crazy it is. The whole power's out in this place except my studio.
Oh, no. I bring
That's
the power,
divine
baby.
intervention.
I bring the power, baby.
Yeah, you do.
With great power comes huge electricity bills. Remember that.
Kato's in the house.
Where am I talking? There I am. Always love Jamie. Always love this guy.
Love you, buddy. Thank you for coming.
You betcha.
What is your pod? Because I did your other pod, and now that guy's in trouble.
I want you to do this other pod, but the pod that we're doing now is called One Degree Scandalous, and it's gone off the chart. You know,
how many eps in are you?
We're probably on episode 80.
Who you do it with?
A guy named Tom Zenner. Tom was a sportscaster during the glory years of Michael Jordan. Then he was with Brady during the glory years of New England. He's Fox. Then he was NBC. And he's just really polished. And so he and I just bounce off each other. And he kind of narrates, and I kind of go off on my tangents. He's kind of a play-by-play. I'm color.
And you guys talk about what?
Any kind of scandal that's going on. We're going to probably go down to the Idaho, to the Brian Kohlberger case. We're going to, because I'm getting all these, I know I'm famous for the absolute worst possible reason. I'm not, everybody knows that. I was involved in a double homicide with a friend of mine, Nicole, and I didn't know Ron, but two great young people. She was a beacon of light. Anyways, I was involved in that trial. Netflix just did a show. It's been trending #1 for 20 days now. And just the people from every country leaving me a message. And I'm not bragging, trust me, I'm not. But they've been so kind. And I'm amazed that I kind of, Jamie, it's taken 30 years. That's why it's all coming out, 30-year anniversary of this tragedy. And
it was 30 years last year, right?
30 years right now. The trial started in the summer. It'll be 30 years when the trial, 95. So it's 2025. So this is kind of the 30-year.
And Netflix did a documentary about it.
Netflix has done a documentary. It's a 4-part series. I'm a big part of it. But one of the producers, Michael Radutsky, I'm from Wisconsin. He went to the University of Wisconsin. He's the guy that does these. They're called Manhunt, and he does the Manhunt for Osama bin Laden, the Manhunt for the Boston bombers. Every one of them are so well made. Then he did the Wahlberg, the Boston bombing film. He did this thing. He contacted me, and I said, I kind of want to go beyond. Then he explained me how they did it. Then I watched his documentary. As I said, oh, this guy's got it. This is really so well made, and if anybody watches it, there's so many things you don't even know that are in the evidence that wasn't brought in the trial. You're like,
with OJ,
with the OJ trial, right?
So now you're doing a pod about scandals.
Yeah, One Degree Scandalous. So we do scandals. It could be anything. It could be a sports scandal. It could be, Patrick Mahomes and the referees. But we're pretty open wide with sports, true crime, and it's the #1 genre besides your show. I love this guy.
The last time I saw you, you were at my house.
Yeah.
And you had merch. And it was Kato's Potatoes.
It's actually called Slackerware, and it was with the comedian Rhonda Shear.
Okay, I remember Rhonda.
Rhonda became ultra wealthy, successful with her line of bras for women called Awe Bra.
She did?
Number one selling bra in the world, better than the Wonder Bra of Victoria's Secret. She went on to become the spokesperson. She's on that Home Shopping Network, or whatever they're called now, and she does shows there. And she owns it. The bra. I went to her house in Florida. What happened was, Jamie, we went to the Playboy
How much
Mansion.
money she make?
She's
100?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
200.
Yeah, I feel like we're the Ben Affleck and the accountant.
Wait,
I don't know what it is. Trust me, my tax bracket's donut. She's definitely Danish. So, I'll tell you how it happened because it's a great story. Over 30 years ago, I did a show called Up All Night, and I did a film called Beach Fever. So they highlighted that film, and I was the lead in that film, and it was really a terrible film as far as you can rent it. It's got it's the only film that needs closed captioning, and it's in English. So they lost 3 of the sound reels. We had to match our lips. So I saw her at the mansion years later. I said, I got this great idea. run.
The mansion.
The Playboy Mansion.
Remember,
Yeah.
all great things. I want to talk about that, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
I did that. I always
You
said
saw her at the mansion.
that. Saw it. By the way, Hef's passed away, and everybody says this. Well, he's in a better place now. He's not. Anyway, he's so I say, hey, Rhonda, I knew about her life.
Yeah.
About this clothing line and how successful she was. I got this great idea. It's called slacker wear, couch potato wear. And I said, I'm known, everybody would call me during the trial, the biggest slacker and every other name.
Yeah.
So I said, it's this thing where all the, and it's sweatpants, and they have pockets for the TV remote, one chip bag for chips, and she loved it. She flew me out to Florida, where she lives, brought a design team. They drew it up just like you see in shows of fashion designing, and they drew it, and I said, okay, that's good, and she let me approve everything. So we did shorts, and we did a lot of them made of bamboo. If you know what bamboo is, it's the most comfortable
so good
clothes. So, it's still out there. It's
but it was Kato's Potatoes.
Kato Potatoes was one of the lines. We did for the kids, it was called Small Fry, and for the women's were Sweet Potatoes.
That's
we had
so funny, Small Fry.
And they're really comfortable. So we never had the advertising push to get this going, and it's still around, but we're not really promoting it.
Bro, I know you won't tell me, but you don't age.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
And no one knows your age, right?
They can Google. Yeah, I'm not upset about it.
You could be 41, or you could be 69.
Or I could be a guy 41 doing 69.
Hey,
you saw it.
He can't stop.
No.
Wait, so when you were at the OJ trial, you were out here and you were an actor.
Yeah.
And you were living in the guest house and you paid rent.
No, I paid rent at Nicole's house. I offered rent to OJ. I really offered him money. He never said, I don't want your money.
So he never wanted your money.
Until you find a place, you just stay here.
And
that was it. And by the way, I offered every month. And the week before these murders happened, I was on San Vicente, found a place. And
you had just gotten to town?
No, this is the week before the murders happened. I knew my time was up. I was like, okay, I'd been to OJ's up over 6 months, about six and a half. I said, I'm gonna get a place. So I found a place. The murders happened. Everything in life changed. I'm telling you, it's bizarre. This is like a blueprint in life. It's like, no, this is what's going to happen in your life. And then OJ, in my heart, my opinion, committed these crimes.
But you were the first reality star.
Larry King penned that.
He said that?
Yeah, Larry King said, Kato Kaelin, you are the first reality star.
You really are.
Yeah. I embraced it when he said it because it was sort of like, all right,
it's amazing.
Larry King is saying it. I offered Larry King my guest house key, which I still have today. The house is knocked down, but I still have the key.
Oh my God, Kato!
I know.
You have to put that in It's just, oh my God, you do.
I'm going to tell you something, Jay.
Wow.
I'm telling you on your show. I'm going to tell you about life, of how bizarre it is.
I want to hear. Put that a little closer to your mouth. You say that on Fridays.
I want to tell you how
Pull
bizarre.
it down so we see your mouth.
La 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 la.
Go ahead.
I feel like I should be a CSI episode where there's a cardboard cutout of Kato at every crime scene. I knew Robert Blake. You knew Robert Blake.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the OJ trial. I knew Phil Spector. And I can't believe I wasn't brought in the trial because that's a Phil Spector story. And then I introduced this band called Smashing Pumpkins, I'm sure you know, and their other group with them was Pantera. I introduced Pantera in Chicago.
Was there some kind of...
With Mancow, who was the big radio DJ.
Yeah.
So he and I was promoting, and I brought them out, and they filmed videos of the Pantera and Billy Corgan. We had an absolute blast. Shot a video. They made their own liquor. I'm not a big drinker, but I took a shot of their liquor. Got along with these guys. They put a video that MTV was on with me backstage. 3 months later, I get at my front door, this huge box. Dimebag Darrell was the lead guitarist. Gives me a Washburn, my name in marble, his name in marble. 2 weeks later, he's murdered on stage.
What?
He got murdered on stage. A guy with another band, another guy came up on, I think it was in Ohio. It's on YouTube. And a guy comes up and shoots him in the head. He goes, "You're the reason," I think he says, "You're the reason Pantera's not around." And he gets shot in the head.
What? Wait, a guy named Dimebag Darrell
guitar
for Pantera.
I think he's one of the founders of that. They're out of Dallas. And I did a series TV show in Dallas. So I used to go, we did these Eye for an Eye with Extreme Akeem. I think you know Akeem and Nastapolo. I think I introduced you to him. He was I had a show called Eye for an Eye. He was the judge of a TV kind of comedy court where he had a baseball bat, not a gavel. And it was really, really popular, especially with college kids. So a lot of our revenges were, the idea Eye for an Eye was like, we had an episode where a guy parked handicap. He wasn't handicapped. The people out there agree to do crazy things. He did an epidural and had to do 5 things a person handicapped couldn't do. And we numbed his legs, and he couldn't get into a car, bathtub, and he apologized. But we shot a lot of revenges they had a strip club, so we shot revenges there.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Anyways,
this is a lot. Wait, so I want to go back to Pantera. This guy got killed on stage?
Got killed.
And you were there?
No, I wasn't there.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Why did he get killed? Why a crazy fan?
Crazy fan.
And you have his guitar?
I have one of his guitars where he engraved it with his name and mine and gave me his guitar in the box. I came back.
Oh, my God.
I still have it. I don't play it. I just keep it in the Washburn case.
So you have you have OJ Key, you have Dimebag Darrell's guitar, and then what about Phil Spector? Well, there was another one in between, wasn't there?
Well, I think you probably met Blake at the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, how do you know Robert?
Just hi at the mansion. He was.
And what do you have from that? Fucking murder weapon?
No.
A meatball?
He wrapped the gun up in a foil with a to-go. Yeah.
What do you have from him?
I have nothing from him. I just said hello to him many times at the Playboy Mansion.
Okay.
He was a guest. He was on, I think, Hef's friend list that would watch movies.
And for everybody that doesn't understand that, there's 3 levels, well, more, but there's what Hef rented it out, let's say $25,000 a day, maybe, and that's for like Geico. I'm not saying it was you, Geico, but like corporate people. And then maybe sometimes if you're desperate, you roll up and be like, hey, what's going on? And you can be like the celeb at an event, right?
Yeah.
The next one are Hef's approved parties, which are only 2, Midsummer's and Halloween, the best in the biz. Yeah. And then the super exclusive is movie night.
Movie night? Yeah, I was part of that.
And then the super, super exclusive is if you go to the pinball room.
I didn't, but I did go. Super Bowl was another one he did.
That was another one. Yeah. But was that above movie night?
Super Bowl I think was movie once a year, but it was a very small party.
Yes.
And movie night was a Sunday. Movie night was Sunday.
It was you, Robert Blake, Don Adams. Shout out Ron. You know Ron, our friend Ron Smith.
Oh yeah.
Hef and his 3 fucking handlers.
I used to go to the
and about 25 girls.
I used to go to the parties. I was single, so I used to go with Bill Maher. Bill Maher and I would always show up together and have the best time. And every time we'd say, the joke was, you could be anywhere. You could be landing on Mars. You're going, Ron Smith, why are you here? He was everywhere.
Ron is present. He's Hef's man. He was running things. But I got to go back to this. Playboy Mansion. No, forget that. I'll go back to that. You just said Pantera, Robert Blake. Yeah. And then you have OJ. What happened? And with what you're saying is with Phil Spector. I really don't know that story other than I believe he killed his girlfriend.
No, it was Lana. I can't think of her name offhand. Her first name was Lana. She worked at the House of Blues. I only knew Phil Spector because in my popularity, where he wanted to meet, and I'm very outgoing. I'm very positive energy. I really am.
Yeah, well, if anyone doesn't know you're funny. Yeah. Like I think that there's a frustrated comedian side. Not really frustrated. You're always kind of doing comedy more than comics. You're like a mix between a Seacrest and an MC comedian starting out on a cruise ship. You know what I'm saying? Is that a compliment?
Yeah, I'll take it as a compliment.
Because you're really you're really positive.
Yeah, that was all. And Seacrest, I have stories on that too. I used to have a radio show. It was the fastest 2 hours in radio before Seacrest became Seacrest. Everybody knew him. He was doing radio in San Francisco,
Yeah.
and then come down to L.A. He said, "You have the best radio show I've ever heard in my life." And then I sold a TV show to Fox, and it was called House Guest, with a guy named Dan Frisch. You might know he produced Hostel, Eli Roth. He did Grindstone with Quentin Tarantino. He was my friend. I've been around forever.
I know, dude. You're incredible.
So we did a show, and I get dropped off in the middle of nowhere with luggage, no money, nothing. I've got to find a place to live. I sold it in 10 seconds to Fox, and then it was called House Guest. Anyways, we did the show.
After the OJ house or before it?
This is after OJ.
Okay.
Then Fremantle bought it. Fremantle had a show that they were doing and asked me to audition for it because I was there. My office was Bob Barker's office. I was in Bob Barker's office. He never used it for The Price is Right, which was a Fremantle production. I thought I was in heaven. I said, I made it big time. You know, you're never too big. My office was it was like a 2,000 square foot. It was gigantic. He had an office in Santa Monica.
Wow.
So the show gets made. FX loves it, and the week that it's going to get, it got greenlit. We shot the pilot. Kevin Riley got the job at NBC, and the new guy shelved it. So I still have the rights to it, but that became.
Was it for FX or NBC?
It was FX. Mike Darnell in the room bought, and then he transferred to FX with Kevin Riley.
Well, what is that? Oh, so Kevin left NBC and went to FX?
No, he was at FX when he bought it.
Oh, and then he went to NBC.
He put the money up, and then he went to NBC. So the new
fuck.
guy at FX shelved it, and then Fox did that show right after Simple Life with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie, which basically was my show. That same concept.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of, but it's a hilarious show. I find a place to live, and then I take all these people to a big Hollywood party, kind of fish out of water, and then we shoot it at Bill Maher's house with all these people.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Bill's in the pilot?
Yeah. It's Jamie. It's laugh out loud funny of the stuff that happened, and I to this day I still think it's.
We have to look at it.
Yeah,
I want to go back to Phil Spector. How did you know him, and what did he do?
So
is he in jail?
He's dead.
He died.
Yeah, he died in jail, I think.
So Phil is known for what? His
Phil
biggest
Spector,
hits. He's got a million hits.
No, he produced that. He always produced John Lennon albums that he did. Was married to Ronnie Spector. Then I think he had domestic violence with her. She's the one, the very popular. I think it was the Shirelles. I don't know.
And the Ronettes, maybe.
Maybe the Ronettes. And then Eddie Money did a song just like Ronnie says.
Yes.
Hey, my little baby.
Wow,
so
that's what that is.
My publicist at the time was Lee Salters. He had Frank Sinatra and Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And he said, Phil Spector called Love to Meet You while he's mixing a Celine Dion album.
Okay.
And I said, I don't, it's not my, I don't have Celine Dion on my iPod. Do we have iPods? But I said, that'd be great. So I go there. Back then, it was every A-list person that was A-list in the 90s was there. He said, he's very different.
Great decade.
Great decade in the 90s. He says, Kato Kaelin, you sit here. And that was the Beach Boy guys were there, Danny DeVito, Penny Marshall. Now, they were huge in the 90s, remember?
Still huge.
Kind of going, why does he get to sit there? So I sat next to,
Is that his house or an event?
At the studio. He's mixing the album.
And they all were there?
Yeah, all in this room because it was a huge event. There was 20 people in there. 20 people.
Whoa.
And then he said, you sit here because I like your energy. I'm not making this up. And by the way, I really am not making any of this up.
No, I know.
And this is not like a bragging. I was like, oh, okay. I could feel the tension of people. Like you can feel when people just go like, why is he here? And I could feel like, it made me feel like, this guy just asked me to sit here, so I will.
Yeah.
He did this song with her, and he made her do it. I'm not exaggerating. It had to be 40 times in a row. And her husband, who passed away, his name was Renee, he was kind of getting fed up, and he goes, no, it's not right. It was, every time I heard it for the first time, I thought, she's just perfect. My God, she's phenomenal. Anyways, that's how I got to meet Phil, and I took off to take a pee, and then there was a band in the 90s popular called Green Day. They were there. They asked for photos. I was like, photos. And then the publicist is running after me in this huge Hollywood studios there on Sunset, whatever that famous
Sunset Sound, maybe.
I think it was probably that. Says he won't mix the music until you're sitting with him. I swear.
What?
So he's like bizarre. So I came back to sit next to him. Here's the greatest part of the story.
Oh my God.
I didn't know till it
You're
was
like
in LA Times.
you're-
This is back then. It showed me with Phil Spector.
Bro.
Before he did a murder. It was like Kato Kaelin at Phil Spector's Celine Dion's album.
Bro, do you
Tom
know-
Cruise bought the rights to Phil Spector and he stopped it because he didn't have an ending. Now he's got an ending.
What's the ending?
He's
dead. He's dead. Dude, I did a show called The Ghost Whisperer, and you're like the murder whisperer.
Oh, it's like so. Meaning, I'm not. I'm the.
No, you're the
I'm
guy
the
whispering
third
to them.
wheel
Yes.
Of this.
So you're around it.
Yeah.
So wait, hold on a second. So Phil takes a liking to you. You go to the studio. It's star-studded. Celine's doing the songs. Renee's there.
Yep.
Phil's like a super perfectionist beyond.
Beyond, like insane.
What
like,
song was it? Was it a hit?
It's an album. Her whatever. The
Okay,
Christmas
one of her
album
albums is.
yeah,
Okay.
It was and so in the meantime, I was a friend of
Whoa.
a guy named Matt Sorm. Matt was the drummer for Guns N' Roses, The Cult, and Matt and I were kind of buddies at the same health club, and we hung out. And I said, "Hey, you got to meet Phil Spector," and he goes, "I'd love to meet Phil Spector." Phil Spector introduced him. He has him, paid him just to play drums on her thing.
Wow.
Play drums on that. I'm like,
Studio session.
yeah.
Wow.
Like, well, I was there and paid him big, and I was like, hey, Matt, get back.
Did he kick you back?
No, but I'm
Whoa.
glad he got paid.
Dude, this is crazy.
It's insanity.
Because you, to me, are Luke Perry, God rest his soul, said the amount of fame does not usually equal the amount in your wallet.
Yeah.
And you, I mean, I don't know your financial situation. I know you're
Donuts
fine.
are Danish. I have my own place, so I'm very happy.
But you are more famous than a lot of people, even to this day. Like you are, you see, you know who you are.
It comes ebbs and flows, right?
And you met, well, no, I mean, like I let my beard grow, my hair might get a little thinner. I have to change my look to go, oh, Jamie. You know what I mean? People do know me, but you've never changed your look. You don't age. You were in the biggest scandal in the last, what you say, 100 years, 200 years? I don't know.
It's
up
sort of
there,
it's
top five.
At any trial, this will always be the template.
The template,
It
100%.
always come to be the OJ trial.
And from that, I feel like I saw you around because I was getting a little famous after you, but you came on the scene. And then when I would go to events, it was, there's Alicia Silverstone, there's Leo, there is Pink, there's Kato. You know what I mean? Like you were always there.
Yeah, at the
A
party scene.
staple. And I always feel that, so you had access to everyone. I mean, you still do. So it's wild. So tell me what did he do? Phil Spector, he killed his
The person he went home. So the story was that he picked up. He used to go to the House of Blues a lot.
You weren't
He met-
there.
No, I wasn't there.
Okay.
I didn't know her. I mean, I might have seen her there because I went there. And then this is later now. I'm not hanging out with. By the way, when I would be up, he wouldn't let me go home. He would not let me leave. And I saw him. He had a gun. He put a gun on a table. And this would Matt will tell you the story. We were at El Compadre on Sunset. Is it Santa Monica?
This is what I love about what he's saying is that these legendary guys who are fucking multimillionaires. I love El Compadre.
Yeah.
The people I've seen in the corner making out in that booth.
Yeah, we're there, and I think he had this limo driver, and anytime that he had the old like the Goldfinger Rolls Royce. He had that style. If you remember, anybody remembers that? I don't. I think it's called the Silver Fan, whatever it was.
He had a driver in a gold-plated Rolls Royce.
Yeah, and he would. I'd say, "Oh my God, it's like 2:00 in the morning. I gotta go." He goes, "You're not leaving." And he was drinking, and he goes, "No." And he had a gun, and I even went to his house with a buddy of mine.
Where was his house at? Up in the hills? Where?
No, past Monrovia or something. The hills of I think it's Monrovia, past Pasadena, kind of like
Wow.
very a mansion. It was very very medieval, and it was huge. And we went there. He was the godfather to John Lennon's. I think it was Sean Lennon is the guy. Sean, I'm pretty sure it was Sean, and he would have a candle because I think his son died the same day John died. John Lennon. It was. You can Google this stuff. I'm close to getting this right. So I watched the Mike Tyson fight with my buddies, and he had a bunch of people, and we watched Tyson in one of his fights at his house, and I thought it would be like a big screen. It was a little TV. I was like, okay. It wasn't big. It was kind of weird. I was like, I thought this was going to be like a movie. Like I'm taking my phone out, so it's
take your phone. It's okay. You're watching a fight at Tyson's.
Yeah.
The TV wasn't huge.
It wasn't huge.
Don't say that.
Then we go to a party, and the party
you love
is
parties.
at Ringo Starr's house, and where my buddies was so excited to be going. He's just a guy, my buddy from Milwaukee, and we're taking this party in Hollywood. He's like loving it. So just because he's so excited makes me like. I love it that he's so excited. Phil Spector would not go into someone's house like a vampire until the host of the party would invite him in. So Ringo Starr had to come in and say, "Hello, Phil, come on in." And we just waited outside waiting for that to happen for like 10 minutes. He would not let anybody go in until the host came in.
Wait a minute, dude.
I'm telling you,
I'm
weird.
Tripping right now. Did he knock or did they?
We're at the door. He waited. And someone else would say, "Hey, Phil, come in." He goes, "No, the host must invite me in."
Bro.
Yeah, it's
no, bro.
Bro, I'm telling you on your show.
No, bro. I mean, you said like a vampire.
Yeah, maybe.
But I mean, I'm asking you seriously.
Yeah. Is
there a chance? You're telling me every time you were with him, Phil would never enter a house.
Well, I only went to that party with him. I wouldn't, but it was he had this thing, a policy, and he even said it. Then he goes, "No, I never go into any party in someone's house until the host invites me in."
Dude,
you know, it's bizarre. It's
dude,
true story. And so we went into the house, and then Jeff Lynne, who was from ELO and also did the Traveling Wilburys, they got into an argument. Well, Phil started an argument because Phil thought he was more connected to George Harrison at the time, so he hated that Harrison took Jeff Lynne to produce the Traveling Wilburys with Bob Dylan and Roy Orbison, and I saw them like completely getting in this huge argument, and Jeff Lynne came up to me and goes, "Why does Phil hate me?" That's so true.
What impression was that? Was that George?
Jeff Lynne.
Oh, Jeff Lynne, do it again.
Why does Phil hate me? Because he's an English guy too. And my buddy tells that story 1,000 times over.
Wait, so, dude, it's so insane. Hold on, you gotta relax for a second. It's crazy, bro. So then Phil killed a girl he was
convicted
hooking up with at his house.
Lana, I'm trying to think. Lana. We're gonna find out by the end of the show.
So he killed
Lana Clarkson,
and he went to jail.
And that, by the way, is a huge Netflix special that has that Phil Spector. If you watch their doc series, their documentary series are incredible. They're so well made, and the one that I mean is beyond well made, of the hours in the editing, and being a film star. And by the way, kudos. I just want to say something. I never would miss. You got to be pissed at Elon Musk for taking X.
Oh,
your name on the show. You've been X. The show was so, first of all, hilarious, but so beyond funny. You are sort of like the start of that.
Thank you, buddy.
And it's like
Alan Funt, really, but thank you.
Well, Alan Funt can't camera, but you went to that you update everything of the stuff that you did, and the makeup people on your show, you did your bits, and if you do my show, 1 Degree Scandalous, you had to have some kind of a fight with someone that had to
come on,
crazy.
I'll tell you some stuff.
I mean, because I would think that someone could go, nowadays, you see people becoming instant famous on their whatever they push the limit on TikTok. Someone's got to get shot one day if it hasn't happened already.
No, I'll tell you on your show, no one ever got shot, but I was going through my archive of clips because I see a bunch of stuff now, and I'm trying to put everything on social media, and I have my interview at 2020 where Gloria Allred sued me.
That's who OJ's, Elke is involved with that.
She's suing Elke.
There's a whole thing.
Elke's the heir to the Coca-Cola throne.
Right.
One of them.
One of them.
He's got a big piece of Coca-Cola, and he wanted to start his own network, and he gave Kato a show, and I went and did his show.
Yeah.
And he started the network with three pillars of society: Kato, Andy Dick, and he wanted Jamie Kennedy as the third. I mean, if you're going to start a network,
I'm telling you, though, it was
Kato, Andy Dick, Jamie Kennedy. I think it's on. And we thought we were going to have the next NBC.
He did, and he had the money.
He
the
had
money
billions of dollars.
And it was also backed. It was Beverly Hills, beautiful studio.
Amazing. On Rodeo Drive. He had like a 10,000 square foot studio. And he's Egyptian. He never had...
Greek.
Oh, he was Greek. But never had Coca-Cola in the studio.
Yeah, he
just had Red Bull.
Yeah, he did.
I'm not kidding. That was weird.
His father was the Coca-Cola heir, and then he had I think he had like 450,000 employees all throughout Nigeria where he was born. But he's Greek, and then they have the mansions of.
So wait, so he's being sued by. So Gloria sued everyone. No, she got like there's two. She sued me a couple of times.
You personally or the network?
The network, but I was one of the faces. So 2020 interviewed me and said, Jamie Kennedy is the face of Gotcha TV.
Right.
And, which, I mean, listen, I think Gloria is an ambulance chaser, but there's a couple times, but I mean, obviously she's very good at what she does and she's a staple, so I respect her. I think we lost, but I was indemnified. But she made one good point, and I shouldn't say this, but whatever. It's over. Is that there is something to be said about signing. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I'm just saying there is something to be said about signing a release right away. So we would get people to sign a release right away after they go something. Now, it wasn't really traumatic. It was a little traumatic, but it was funny. But it was crazy.
Right.
But she's like, they need a 72-hour policy so they can get their head right. Well, if you give anyone 3 fucking hours and a lawyer, they're going to sue your ass over anything.
Right.
So I think she's part of the reason it's hard to do hidden camera in California now, because it's a 2-party consensus state, where it used to be 1 party, meaning you could film someone without their consent.
So the case was that she's saying that you do your bits, which is impossibly hard to do. You have
Spy
to.
TV, it's the one with Tracy and oh god, I just met the producer. It was on Sci-Fi. It was amazing. It was great. Scare Tactics. Like there was like 6 punked. We were all lumped in this thing, but I was like 2020 is like, oh Jamie, you're gonna do the interview. So I'm like, no one else. Ashton, you want to take this fucking Shannon, but they made me do it.
Did they make you look good?
I played it like Kato. I was like, we're just trying to have fun. Right. We don't mean any harm. And they're like, but you put, and it was like that.
So I want to ask you a question. So the beginning of your seasons, when your show comes out, there's no law, there's no lawsuits. You do the thing, someone sign after the bit, they'll sign the release like, hey, you've been X'd, and they sign the release, you're good. And then years later, it changes where she says, no, people can have 72 hours to go, I don't want to be part of this. I filmed it. Is that what happened?
I don't know if they passed it, but she definitely lobbied for it. And then I've probably been sued about 8 times, different things. But like I've never, sometimes I've lost, sometimes I've won, but I've always been indemnified because I was under the umbrella of a corporation of the networks. But she had one lady who was a waitress. And like we did a funny waiter bit. She's like, I have PTSD from holding a tray, and when I shower, I'm scared someone's going to be behind the curtain. And we didn't even do anything with the shower. So it's like
that was one of the ways. Is there someone going?
That was another lawsuit. I've have like 10 of them. Oh. So and I'm like, dude, I championed myself on being a good dude. Like I was like,
completely.
I wanted everyone to be happy. We had these 2 cute girls, and they were like, here, honey, have a cup of coffee and sign this, and we take a picture. I mean, it is a bit of a game because they're like, hi, and then they're like, what's going on? And then
plus
boom.
You got a brilliant bit. You're going, please do.
Yeah, but it's good. You're going to be on fucking TV. Right. There was no TikTok. There was no social media.
Right.
And it's funny, to this day, dude, I went to yoga. in the Valley, and this woman, I forget her name, I think it was Teresa maybe. She goes, Terry. She goes, hi, Jamie. Jamie, I did your show. She was so sweet. God, and guess what she did? She did botched boob job. I go, were you botched? She goes, yeah, I was. And we basically I played a doctor, and I said, hey, let's fix this woman's chest, and came back, and I gave her 3 boobs. And I'm like, it's just more fun. And she was like, I love it. And so the lady and the husband wasn't the mark. And the lady's like, ooh, I want that. The husband's like, what? So it was all that.
So brilliant.
You know what I mean? So she's like, I was botched boob. And it's funny.
And she's a yoga instructor?
She runs a yoga studio. She's so sweet. And I run into people all over this town that are like, you X me. But they're happy.
This morning I did the downward spiral. That's my life. I'm kidding.
Downward doggy. Look at you. Well, you're not married, are you?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
She just.
Did that just happen?
That happened.
Are you getting blown up by her?
We got married 2 years ago, and
That's new for you.
Yeah, very new for me. And she and I got married at David Zucker's house. If you know David,
Of course, airplane legend. Jesus, you can't. There's not a name you can't drop. I'll pick that up for you.
I had to tell you that because we were married. He walked her down the back lawn, and he's a Milwaukee guy. So David's put me in basketball and the film with the Trey and Matt Stone from South Park guys. And then our friendship, we became friends for that. And our home Milwaukee and Green Bay Packers. I know you're Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Diehard Packer. And anyway, we, gone many, many times. And her parents she's Chinese in Beijing. His parents didn't come. David said, I'll walk her down. So I said, that's great.
Okay.
And he did Naked Gun movies. And part of it was my speech during the wedding was I thanked David for the use of his house and huge place, the lawn and friendship. And I said, basically, David, thank you more so for not inviting Nordberg, which OJ.
Wait, was that that was OJ? Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
I love this guy.
Oh, my God.
That was great. Good laugh.
Wait, can I ask you some OJ stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, he's all done now. You said there's so much stuff that didn't come out. I mean, you probably talked about it 1 billion times.
Well, so much stuff that I saw in the documentary because don't forget, I was sequestered. I wasn't watching the trial.
So wait, do you remember, what was the name of that restaurant? That was
Mezzaluna.
It was Mezzaluna. Now, I know you're a clean guy. You've never been a guy that did, but it was a drug haven.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that I was...
You know how I know that? Because as a young actor, that was like, there was a kid in my class and he's like, that's the place, the wait tables. He waited there. And it was like killer money. And in like 92.
Oh, yeah, it was the place to be. You have to be. And
OJ would go and her, what's that chick? You know her name.
The actress there?
Well, it was Kris
Jenner?
It was Nicole.
Yeah.
And it was the other girl who's... Faye, yeah. They were always there. I mean, that's what I saw from the documentary or the footage, but I know that my buddy would come to our acting class and say this.
I think I was there. I lived out there. I think I might have been there only once because it wasn't.
But was it a drug den, in your opinion?
I wasn't. So I proclaim this. I've never done drug in my life.
I believe that. No, I know that.
I just haven't. And so.
You're a Midwest farm boy.
Yeah. And so I had my own set friend. I didn't hang out with those people. I had a guest house, but I still had my separate life. I did not hang out. Everything was based on who my friends were, and that was a older crowd. To me, that was an older crowd, so I didn't hang out with them. And OJ, was doing Notre Dame games, NBC, football, acting, doing his bit. So, I wasn't a guy to go, hey, can I hang out? It wasn't my style. And that was it.
So what was some of the things that came out that would surprise us?
Well, if you watch the series, first of all, they found the night of the murders, the detectives came, so they found in the wash machine clothes that were in the wash that had blood on the wash machine and blood on the light switches, blood upstairs on socks. All of it was thrown, never used. They had a woman named Jill Shively who's done our show.
It was never used?
Never. They were thinking that they had so much evidence, maybe they don't have to use it. So they had, and the blood, the socks had all 3 DNA on it. So we find this out during the documentary. Then there was
OJ, Ron, and
Nicole.
Okay.
And they had so much evidence in the Bronco that wasn't used, the blood in the Bronco. Then they had, so the reason being, then you watch the trial, is because they said it was tainted, and Dennis Fung was the LA for the DNA expert, and Barry Scheck for the defense just did his line of questioning and just had him fumbling. So the jury, reasonable doubt, they show that. Jill Shively, I think one of the most important people in this, was a woman driving her car that night. Exact same timeline, matched the timeline for myself, everything. She was driving on San Vicente, and a Bronco comes with no lights on, through a red light, almost hits her, and the car goes on a medium. And she sees it, and she memorizes the license plate, and she hears the guy say, "Hey, get out of the way!" And she said that night she watched Naked Gun, she knew that voice was O.J. Simpson. So she called. She thought it was a drunk driver. So it's all on police record that she said exactly at that time it was him driving the car, probably back from Bundy. It's a
Meaning
he's
after the
coming up from
crime.
Bundy, right? Minute, probably right after, and then the OJ gets there, and so she calls it in as a drunk driver, all on record. Skip Junis, this is great stuff. Skip Junis is at the airport and is picking up his wife to work for American Airlines. He's there all the time. It was Sunday, no crowd. He's in his car behind the limo, and he recognized, oh, it's O.J. Simpson. And by the way, these people are very credible witnesses, and the detectives approved it.
How do they know it's OJ in a limo?
He came out of the limo. He's right behind. He goes, oh, it's OJ. And he sees him. Now, no one knows there's a crime committed, but he sees him with this duffel bag that I testified to. I said, I never saw that bag. No one ever found the bag. But he sees him go into this bag, with his arm all the way down, and he pulls out this object, and he puts it in the garbage can with his arm all... Who throws out something down here in the garbage can? Never used as a witness. This guy was so credible.
What was it the knife?
Well, no one...
Did they ever find the? They
never found it?
They never found the knife.
Well, no, because
what?
Garbage is picked up probably that morning. No one knows anything yet.
And there's cameras at LAX.
No, that 94, no cameras. 94, 95.
So, your theory is that OJ reached down.
He came in to meet the prosecution, but they never used him. He said that. He goes, I saw him there. He put something in their garbage can, and so it was. So many hours after the fact, maybe a day or two, maybe 3. So the garbage is already picked up, and they were not going to go to whatever dumpster, how they collect garbage at LAX. So these are just theories.
Wait, when did they know about that? Why wouldn't they go to it? Why wouldn't they go to a dumpster?
I don't think that news event came out until like 24 hours later.
Oh, so it was already.
So it was Sunday, maybe as a Monday pickup garbage. I don't know. So that was one of them. Oh God! They highlight everything that was never used. So those are just 3 of the things. That's amazing.
It's insane.
It is insane.
But I mean, your opinion is.
My opinion is I think he's guilty.
He did it.
Yeah.
And it was an act of what?
Probably passion.
So he didn't know. I mean, it seems like he had girlfriends, right? That's kind of seemed like he had a ton of side pieces, right?
My opinion.
And they were divorced, correct?
Divorced. I just think.
And Ron was her like little side piece, right?
That we don't know if they were dating. According to
we don't know
Kim Goldman, who's terrific. That's her brother.
Yeah.
Ron, that they were not dating, and he was just being kind because the mom left her glasses at Mezzaluna, and he says, "Oh, I just waited. I know where they live."
Oh
so
no!
He dropped him off. It was all wrong place, wrong time.
That's what happened. That's right. No.
So, and it was just all these events of.
But OJ came back. So Ron goes and delivers the glasses.
Yeah.
Because he's a sweet guy. I do remember reading that. Yeah, and his sister Kim, I've met her before. She's so sweet.
Yeah.
I've done a benefit for them. And go there. He goes. OJ gets jealous. Where does the knife come from?
Well, nobody knows if that was planned because supposedly that night he wasn't invited to Mezzaluna with the family. I think it was a fact that she was over him. He probably was like, I'll show her I pay for the house, I pay for alimony. Maybe he was fed up, and maybe it was an act of passion. No one will ever know, but I think Ron showed up maybe during and tried to save, and possibly then he ended up killing both. I mean, on the Netflix show they go through their theory, and it's plausible, everything they say, but no one will ever know.
Why do you think that he was convicted, not guilty, not convicted?
I think the Rodney King was 2 years before that. I really think the jury was going to have him being innocent. I was there, and I saw the jury during I did 6 days on the stand. I saw them wave to him all the time, but they would wave, and the jury.
No one did not know who he was. Meaning
he was a celebrity on trial, and I just think the time of L.A. was
he was a fixture.
Yeah, there's another thing you didn't know was that they test the jury of the lawyers of how the likability rate, and the jury did not like Marsha Clark, but she said no, it won't matter. I got so much evidence, but you got to be likable to, the jury might go, oh, I like this prosecutor.
Wow,
so, there's a lot, Jamie, on this thing.
No, it's crazy. Do you know there's a lot of theories that there's theories that he didn't do it, that he was taking the fall, but you don't believe any of that.
No, nothing.
There's also a belief that 2 drug dealers did it.
They did. They try to plant that, like they talk about the. She's almost decapitated.
I know,
Nicole.
It was horrific.
They said it was the Colombians doing their Colombian necktie.
Colombian necktie, yeah.
So that was. I think they're throwing to see what would stick on the spaghetti on the wall, what'll stick. But no, I think it was the most investigated in the history of any murder case, and every detective kind of says the same. That was just OJ.
And when he got off, were you beyond surprised?
No, I kind of thought. When I was sitting there, I said, "Boy, they like OJ," and I knew it was a heated time, and I could see the racial divide and they showed all that stuff. It was pretty obvious at that time.
And when he got off, did you ask him if you could live in his new guest house?
No, that's not it. At one time, he probably wanted to live at my guest house.
Fuck.
No. I said, OJ, I can afford my own couch. Laugh, dude. But
your relationship was done once he got off.
After.
But he was cool with you before, right?
Completely
Did
cool.
he take you out to eat and stuff?
I probably saw him 5 to 6 times the entire time.
And how did you get there? How did you end up going to his guest house?
I was friends with Nicole. I lived at her place on Gretna Green, not Bundy. Gretna Green had a guest house.
That was in Bel Air.
You probably knew a buddy of mine had a business together, Grant Kramer.
Mm-hmm.
Grant was a heartthrob on General Hospital, did a few beach films, but he was a great-looking guy. Intelligent, funny. Women loved Grant.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, a side note, her mom was Terry Hughes, was married, I think, to Howard Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
So Grant and I were buddies.
Okay.
And he's hung out. We started a casting business for extras in films.
That doesn't sound weird.
Yeah, it does.
Go ahead.
He had an acting class, but we had
casting
for extras.
And you used to have something called Kato's Couch Potatoes.
Just
I did
saying. It all.
Go ahead.
You do anything in this time. You have to make money.
I know.
You got to keep your insurance going.
I got it. So you started a casting business.
Casting extras, and I was usually the wrangler. So we did a lot of I would hire 100 people.
Yeah.
And they would be everybody was a price on the head of the production company. So
no, I know you're here. If there's a big scene in a mall, he hired all the people to be in the background, and that's good money, by the way.
And then I would be on that show, and hours could be 4 a.m. I'd come home and just long hours, and we did really well. And so Grant and I said, we did great. Let's go to Aspen for Christmas, where everybody went the day after Christmas to spend the New Year's.
Yeah.
And then in Aspen, we had an absolute ball. Nicole was divorced at the time. I don't know her, nothing. I don't know who the person is, but Grant, and she's locking eyes with Grant because Grant did a lot of the celebrity ski, and they said, "You're Grant," and then they start talking. So I was the third wheel making the jokes, and she loved my humor. And while they dated for a while, even after Aspen, I was living in Hermosa Beach. I'd drive up to the office to do this stuff. And if you know, it took me an hour to 2 hours of driving. So it'd be 4 hours just on the road for my work. And I was close enough to Nicole who said, "Who lives in your guest house? I'll rent it." And I met her kids a few times, and they said, "Kato, we love Kato." They named the dog Kato. So it was sort of because they liked me, and I think the key was, Jamie, that I was trustworthy around kids. And if you can be trustworthy, you're not looking for anything, nefarious to do. You're kind of like, I'm not the babysitter, but I loved the kids and had fun. Mm-hmm. So I stayed at her place for 6.5 months before she moved to Bundy because her rent went up.
So Grant was dating her
for a while, and
she said, "You need a room?" To you?
No. So while Grant and her were dating, I still went out with them as a
third fucking wheel.
Yeah, we'd come over. I was living in Hermosa, but now I was good enough friends for Nicole where I could ask. And so now when I lived in Gretna Green, he'd come over and I'd see all three. It was Grant and her and me, and it was a great time.
Hopefully, she brought a friend.
Yeah, I was okay. I was doing okay. I met
I know you did.
My time. I met someone in Aspen too, and at that time, it was a very popular actress, and we dated for about 3 or 4 months. And her name is Catherine Oxenberg, who was from Dynasty.
You didn't want to say it, but you just did. You dated Oxy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Back in the 90s.
By the way.
She's a princess of a country, I think.
Yeah, wow, that's a good, I mean, she's looking great now, but boy, 35 years ago.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yep.
And this is pre-trial fame. This is just off the hairline.
You know what? That's so funny you said
wow.
that. I was all pre-trial.
You and Grant took down a couple of divorcees.
I had some game.
Yeah. Oh, you definitely do, for sure.
And, it's...
So wait, you go there, you're living there, and that's how you ended up at OJ's.
Yeah.
And then
OJ, she moved to Bundy.
Did you eat with him? Can you tell me something that you guys talked about, or is that no?
Yeah, well...
You would go out to a restaurant.
I rarely did. If I was with the family, if I did, we used to go to the soup plantation. OJ, the kids, and that was in Brentwood. Everybody would go to everybody to be seen.
I love that one.
Remember the soup?
Yes.
Everybody would go to soup plantation.
That's so
and
funny.
the kids would just they'd go and get a plate and a cup full of sunflower seeds.
Yeah.
They would just pour. I mean, it was like a comedy of like, how much sugar in your coffee? It's like they'd pour us. I just remember that and laughing.
You, OJ, and the kids
and
at
Nicole.
Soup Plantation. Oh, yeah. Nicole. Okay.
Jamie, you'll appreciate this because you're friends with somebody in the showbiz, and I was friends with a guy named Aaron Meyerson, very dear friend of mine.
Yeah, he ran CBS Daytime syndication
at the time in the 90s.
Wow.
Aaron and I and a guy named Dan Loeb were inseparable. Dan Loeb is now probably top 5 richest people in the world. Dan owns Third Point hedge fund in New York. But he and I...
Is that Loeb and Loeb?
No.
You know a Nick Loeb?
Sounds familiar.
Okay, go ahead.
But Dan Loeb, if you can Google him, is billions. So it was me, Aaron, and Dan. We used to go to Rebecca's in Venice, and we're single and just having a ball. Dan ends up living. I just remember Dan would get up every morning at 4 and work at Loeb and Loeb, but no relation. Aaron gave me a script. He said, "You got to read this. You got to be in it." At that time, Aaron was an executive at New Line Cinema, and he gave me a script. And I read it. He goes, "Come in and just read from some of these parts." I had long hair at the time. So I read with the guy casting Rick Montgomery. Then I read another role.
Amazing!
So
what a legend!
These roles, and then they put me on film, on tape. And this is the week before the murders happened. I go, God, I think I'm getting close to getting these good calls. I'm friends with Aaron. He's like, he thinks I'm great in this. Everything stopped in my life. That was Dumb and Dumber. So,
no.
Yeah, it was Dumb and Dumber. And I'm reading. I got to find the script where I have it. And years later, I meet up with the Farrelly brothers and tell them this, and they just are blown away.
What role?
Well, I read many, but I read the Jeff Daniels role. And my hair was identical to Daniels, basically.
I could see you doing that.
But
that's insane. But Jim Carrey wasn't attached yet?
I was reading. I didn't know any. I was nobody, so I didn't ask who's attached to it. It was.
But you kept getting callbacks.
I got 2, but they tested me on one, where I was reading. God, what was I? I can't remember the sides they gave me. It probably was Harry.
This is crazy.
But Aaron and I are friends to this day.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So my life was kind of happening, then it just stopped. And and then when my face became recognizable, I was just like a caricature.
Yeah.
And
you were done, right?
Kind of done. And 30 years later, now that it's going on, I'm getting more, I got a little part in a film coming up, and, I'm getting work, but whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but my outlook in life is still, paid forward, and I love life.
But you came out here to act.
Oh, 100%.
And you were on your way.
I had a TV show in Wisconsin called Kato and Friends.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was like a public access?
It was a college, but it was all over the city.
Mm-hmm.
So it was basically in college and very popular for Wisconsin, Eau Claire, which is the second biggest from Madison to Eau Claire. And it was incredible. It became like I did all the news shows of the show was very popular of there's this kid, and I had in the dormitories I'd go and do kind of like kind of like that stuff.
Really?
Way before.
Dude, I'm just so amazed like what your career is here. What your career is here. I mean, it's like one move away.
Yeah.
But you became so famous, the most famous from that trial.
Yeah.
Was it because of the hair? Was it because of your name?
I think it's both. I just think.
What is your real name?
Brian Kato Kaelin.
Brian Kato Kaelin, but they didn't call you Brian. They called you
In the
Kato.
beginning, they said they had me spell it out, and then from then on, they kept
It was
calling me
Kato.
Kato. They kept calling me
Off the Green Hornet.
off the Green Hornet, right, with Bruce Lee.
And so they would say that, and it was like Kato, and you were everywhere.
And Pink Panther was a Kato with a different spelling.
Mm-hmm. You were Brian Green. No, you were Brian Kato. You're Brian Kato.
Brian Austin Green.
That's a different one.
I know him too. Yeah, right.
You were Brian Kaelin.
So,
and they added Kato.
Yeah.
Did they add Kato? He didn't call you Kato.
Who?
Who called you Kato first?
My family.
Oh, so they did call you Kato.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. And you lived in the guest house?
No, at my house? No, when I grew up in Wisconsin.
But wasn't Kato like...
We had a 4-bedroom guest house,
Didn't Kato have a guest house in the Green Hornet?
No, I think Kato lived... I just remember Kato was...
Why did they call you Kato?
Because I was a young karate guy.
Oh, God, it's so crazy.
Yeah. You know,
it's so crazy.
Everybody
and
did
it
karate
just
back
worked.
then.
The sounds are,
Kato Kaelin. Comedy.
Yeah.
Kato Kaelin.
So you did that, and then the rest is history. But did you start getting invited to things? This is what I want to know. The trial is over. He's off.
Yeah.
He's a pariah, but he's out. I mean, he's hanging with... Anytime I saw him after that, and I only saw him like once...
Yeah.
He was always with, nefarious figures. I feel like people that wanted his fame.
Exactly.
And they kept the drugs coming, and he was always talking to 10 strippers. Am I wrong?
I only see... I didn't hang out with them, but I think you're right. When you hang out around bad people, bad things happen.
Yeah.
Which is why he kept getting into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why would this person not just want to never be seen again?
No, he golfed and he was a pariah.
Yeah.
And so here you are, and then you go, and then did people just started hitting you up? Did you get a publicist, or did it naturally? So you got a publicist, and you're like, did you say like, I'm going to milk it?
No. Absolutely.
What happened?
No. I had stuff that I would only did stuff that was involved with acting or comedy.
But you were everywhere, bro.
I was doing stuff like, that's how I became friends with Bill. I did Politically Incorrect, was huge rating. I hosted the Talk Soup. I just wanted to do stuff that I did.
So in a weird way, that was a bump for your career.
A double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And believe me, when I did stuff, you live in Hollywood, you could feel the hatred of people going, he doesn't deserve it, and the hatred. And I was like, God, I really believe in my heart that if I was on my way of getting stuff, I went to an acting academy. I was doing everything right, and then that happened, and it stopped. But I thought I was on my way. I could feel something was going to happen, and it was the murder of the trial. It was just, I can't tell you, this feeling was overcoming me the weeks before, going, man, I'm meeting all these people. Everybody, I'm getting along with these people. They're all like big shots. I think I'm going to get a break. And that was it. No,
because you're so lovable, and you're egoless. So you are, ever since I've known you.
Yeah.
And I think you were probably like this before. You're also, how many belts did you have in karate?
No, just one belt.
But
then I did Jeet Kune Do, but nothing. This is like.
But you have that kind of energy about you where you do respect, and you're very respectful. And I don't know. I think you're probably that way the whole way because you're the. Yeah. I know a lot of people from Wisconsin are like that.
Totally because of my family.
But also, people came with so much expectations of you.
Yeah.
And now you were like, no, I'm just you, and that's why you're so affable because it was like they were haters. Tons of haters.
To know me is to love me.
Yes, it's so true.
And honestly, Jamie, my late dad and mom,
God bless their
I never
soul.
saw them not loving people.
Mm-hmm.
So you're raised that way. It's natural.
And so can we talk about the mansion? How'd you get your first invite? Because Hef didn't allow you to bring a dude. There's no +1s for dudes.
Hef was the guy. He called the publicist and said they want me to come to a party, and he let me bring people, which is unheard of.
Unheard of. Other dudes?
My brother was in town visiting from Wisconsin, and the girl that I was seeing at the time, we got to go, and she was like, "You're not going." And I was like, "What? I'm taking my brother. He's in town. This would be great." Finally, she said, "Okay, I'll go." So I was like,
"So you brought a big old bag of sand?"
I brought
an attractive sand.
Attractive sand. My brother, and he was in awe.
Yeah,
I said, "John, don't embarrass. You're going to see all these people." He goes, "Oh, I won't." So I tell this story too.
No camera phones.
Right, we're at the bar.
No phones.
At the the bar that's outside.
Mm-hmm.
It was I think
the tent. There's a bar by the garage, by the pool. There's another bar by the corner, by the bathrooms. Yeah.
And I wasn't aware. It was my first time. So
what year?
This is the 90s, 95.
My first was 98.
We go to the bar.
I definitely saw you there.
We talked. I think I said I was a huge fan.
Thank you.
My brother goes up. He goes, Kato, the guy, as close as you are. He goes, hey, Kato, this guy, he looks like that Doogie Howser. And it was. I go, Sean. And then, what's Doogie? I forget Doogie's real name.
Fuck. Do you see our brains?
Oh, my God.
Doogie Howser, what's his name? You know his name.
Gone Girl.
I don't know, but we know
Patrick.
his name. Patrick, yes. Patrick. Wow. Do we have to look it up? They'll know it in the chat. It's not the chat.
So he goes, I go, it is. And he was talking to me, Doogie, and we're getting along.
Patrick, Patrick. I was in fucking the movie with him, too.
Yeah. You got to look it up.
You're with Doogie. Your brother goes Doogie. Doogie Howser. Doogie.
You look it up.
Doogie. Wait, Doogie Howser, MD, is. Oh God! Wait a minute. What? Oh my God! Doogie Howser, MD. Are you ready?
Give me a hint. We'll play the game here. Initials. Patrick's right. Correct.
Patrick's one of the names. That's crazy. I've both forgotten.
John Patrick. Dave, am I right?
I blame COVID and 5G. Patrick's one. I'll give you this.
First initial of the first name.
It's so sad. I have it now, and I'm probably 10 years. No. And I have it you, and I'm 10 years younger than you.
And
I might be 15 years young. I don't know how old you are, but I have it too. It starts with an N.
Neil Patrick Harris.
I know! It's fucked up!
I can't believe it.
It's fucking 5G,
so my brother,
dude.
You're seeing a guy from Wisconsin saying, hey, that looks like a Doogie Howser. He talks at Milwaukee.
Was he straight then?
I have no idea.
But
I just was talking. It was my first time.
It wasn't a gay bar over there.
No, I know.
But that's what I tell people. The mansion was open. Everybody went.
Wow.
So you go there.
Yeah, that was my first time coming in there. Immediately, Hef was so nice, and then from that moment on, I met all the employees. He loved that I knew every waiter's name, every staff within a day, and the staff to this day still contacts me and says in events that would come up, I knew everybody's name. I would always greet them with the same name, except for Neil Patrick Harris, and from that moment on, I was invited to every party.
Yeah, I would see you there all the time,
and I had a drive on for a few years.
Wow, I think I had one too at one point. That's such a gold pass, dude. The drive on for everybody is you would meet at UCLA, and you would here's what you would do. So you go to the Playboy Mansion, you have to get in. They're not gonna. Here's how deep you are, so people understand this. You go to UCLA. There's a parking lot.
Yeah. There's
shuttles. Hef's got running 5 shuttles. You can't bring anybody, which sucks.
Yeah.
But you call your boy, or you call like a young actor that you kind of know, and then say, "I'm going to be there. I'll meet you by that bar when I get in, and let's scope." And I'm sorry, that's what we did. We scoped.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yep. So you go there. The good news is you get on the bus, and it is the hottest chicks from Madison. It's the hottest chicks from Seattle. It's small town Sally's, and it's only like the percentage is 80-20, 20% guys. So you end up talking, and then you get fucking carted off, and then you go in the Wonderland. The drive-on allowed you to go straight up, and you valet your car in the front, which is so fucking rare. And then you could literally just pull from the party and be like, what's up? And then either go to the after party or whatever. But through the shuttle, I will say, you meet somebody, you start talking there. If it goes good, you're hanging out with them at the party. If not, you go back in the shuttle. People are little libations. And then you go, oh, you want to go to Mel's.
Right.
And then you go to Mel's on Sunset.
Or Jerry's.
Which was there. God will rest its soul. And then from there, it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, so the shuttle had its perks in a way.
We definitely were on the shuttle together a few times.
Yes, for sure.
Definitely.
So it's crazy. But so you had it, and Bill was always there. I think Bill admits that. I mean,
Yeah, it was, people say, "Oh, that was all filthy slap." It's you make the party what it is.
This is what I want you to talk about.
You're invited to certain things, but I know who I am. I was like, no, I'm not interested in doing that. I'm laughing my ass off, usually with Bill, just joking the entire night and with story. I met so many great friends, and it wasn't, if someone wanted to have sex, they're in a wherever. I'm there with the laughter, meeting people, and having the best time of my life. I mean, honestly, I'd laugh for 7 hours straight.
Yeah, here's what it is. Like I try to tell people, like you'd walk in, and it's like an Arabian setup for Midsummers, and all those pillows, and you wore your pajamas, whatever you want, and the girls wore whatever they want. But honestly, people weren't walking around naked.
No.
And it was a much more
painted naked. Some of
them
are painted naked.
Yeah, but it was a much more favorable ratio of women to men. And if you were under the age of 80 and had some game, you were doing all right because there was a lot of old heads there. Yeah. And so, I mean, but I went into the pool and you start playing like, with the beach ball, and I took to this day. I never saw anything weird there.
Yeah, I didn't.
It was such a vibe. And then at 2:00, instead of closing, they'd bring out the new buffet, like with like a carving of like prime rib. It was the best.
It was exactly like that. It was.
And you leave sometimes at 4.
There could have been great stuff going on. It's a huge property.
Yes,
they were off to another part of the area. The house.
In terms of like sex and stuff, I'm not gonna say stuff, but you could go behind the monkey cages or there's the grotto. But like I only saw like some stuff like once, and it wasn't crazy.
Your YouTube thing of getting the hand job for the monkey is incredible. That's the mansion part.
Dude, that's supposed to be unlisted. It's supposed to be unlisted. You saw that?
So, yeah.
But I just feel that, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of rumors, and, I hope they're not true. But obviously there's probably some stuff. But I don't like it when...
Well, they did a series.
Well, I don't like it when people... shit on Hef, but still use his name to make money.
Yeah, I think it was
That's my
AMC,
truth.
The Secrets of the Man, or whatever. They had people that kind of after.
Well, now they're saying there's tunnels, which I never knew or heard of.
Yeah,
that's if that's true. I don't know if it is.
It's torn down, isn't it?
Well, Dino, who's the heir to the Twinkie fucking fortune, which is totally what an LA story. So
what is that?
Dino
is who?
Metropolis. His family is so smart. He's smart, and he owns a bunch of different assets, and one of them is Twinkies. Now, you don't think of a Twinkie as being sexy. Well, it makes a lot of fucking money. So
there's cream filling.
Yeah, exactly. So he bought it for $100 million, which now is looking like a bargain. At the time, it was crazy. He's leveling it.
It's leveled now, right?
Yeah, but it's like there's different phases of it, and he says he's going to restore it to its glory of party, which is incredible because you would go to a club. Do you remember Zini? You ever go to Zini? Yeah. Zini was a place here, and they would be like the only way to have an all-night club in L.A., and it called it memberships. So you could drink and party till 6 a.m. It was the best. Different pop-ups. They would do it on...
Oh, it wasn't a set club.
No, it was at like Paramount. One time they did Sunset Gower. Zini, Mike. What's up? Mike Sutton. Am I allowed to say his name? Shout out. The best, right? And so...
Inside Hollywood stuff.
And... Dino would be there because he'd always get a table, and he was just like wild sweatsuit dude who was just fun loving and like have some of my bottle, and he was like a gregarious guy, and no one knew he was the richest guy in the whole city. Like
your friends today,
I'm not really friends with him, but he was always nice to me. He always like anytime there was a bottle and there was like 50 girls, Dino was like, Jamie. He was like, great. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, who's that? He's the Twinkie. He's the heir to the Twinkies, but he has a lot more stuff.
Hostess, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He apparently wants to redo it, so which would be incredible because look how crazy and different it is now, dude.
Yeah.
Do you remember Maxim? Do you remember Playboy?
But all
these parties don't exist anymore.
Right.
It's fucking sad
because there's no magazine.
There's no magazine. Yeah. There's a brand, but also, dude, I don't think our generation would have ratted, and there's nothing to rat about. But now, if you go out between the pictures, between the texting, between the DMing, it's like it's some sort of clout, which never was a thing. We just call that looking for attention. Now it's called clout. That wasn't anything. And we'd be like, yo, don't do that. Fucking keep everything on the DL. How would he even do it today? How do you do it today? How do people do it?
That's why it's not going on today.
But it is with the younger generation, but they don't care. They live off of it. They're like, oh, this is...
Can you name where people go out?
No, dude, LA is dead apparently.
Yeah.
I haven't gone out in a long time.
Yeah.
But it's wild. Like, I haven't drank in a while, and it's not because I'm an alcoholic, it's because I feel better. I was getting fat a little bit. But I don't know any clubs that are popping. There's like one. There's like Bardo, but I don't go there. I mean...
But you go to sports events at all?
I've gone to the SoFi a few times. It's incredible. And I've gone into nice boxes as a guest of people. So, but like I go to Lakers sometimes. But again, even the championship room, I don't know how it is right now. I don't know if it's as crazy as it was.
Yeah. I try.
How often do you go?
I do. I've never even gone to SoFi. But
really?
You know Sean Avery. I love Sean Avery.
He's the man. He's done my pod.
And he's you did the podcast?
Yeah.
So Sean will tell you, he did this thing on his Instagram. He's going, $125 to park a car.
For what?
You at SoFi.
Now? Excuse me. Yeah. Now it is?
Yeah, it's $125. He did his whole thing. I was like, I love the guy. So I did his show and we got along great.
Yeah, well, he's a truther. He calls it out.
Oh, 100%.
By the way, he goes to some great parties. And by the way, he's not scared to shot. He doesn't hold his opinion back at those parties.
No way. He's tough. He's a master in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. But also he's just an amazing hockey guy that can just one punch through anyone. You know, we're talking about parties here.
Our 6 degrees are really
Well, you're connected to everybody, but I do pretty well myself. But we are very connected.
How often are you traveling now?
Dude, I was traveling so much. I haven't been on a plane since December 9th, and it's weird with all the stuff that's happening.
I have to go on a trip, and I have to decide in a week if I want to fly out to Florida. But I just, I feel the same way. First of all, it's but it's just all these weird things that are happening with these little crashes, and it's all because of DEI hires. It really is.
Do you believe that?
100%.
Whoa! Look at Kato taking a stand.
Oh, I think
Are you and I on the same page?
Yeah, 100%.
Are you Patriot?
Oh, major.
Welcome, Patriot, brother. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that.
You can look at my.
You just went like that. We're probably considered racist.
No,
now.
it's snails.
Yeah, snails.
I come out of the shell. You got to come out of the shell. Snails.
Devil. Snail. It's just snails.
Can I?
Go ahead. Let it out. By the way, I speak about this stuff.
Let me tell you something.
You follow me?
What's going on right now? It is so the golden age. If you don't, it's all about loving America. No matter what, everything is better. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, everything's better. Everything should be a meritocracy. You want 100%. The best doctor, I want the best pilot. I don't care what color or anything. I want the best. Mm-hmm. And so when you don't, and you get people that do you know a fact is UCLA was the number one 3 years ago medical number one
in the world probably.
Well, in America
for sure, yeah,
for medical,
yeah,
and
it's best.
They started the DEI. They're not even in the top. They're below 50%. So that is you can Google this out.
What?
Yeah, for their medical, they're not making it's not the best anymore. So
it's diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that UCLA was the best, which it was. It is. It's incredible. And you're telling me they hired because there wasn't enough certain groups being hired.
Right.
And you're telling me they're hiring mediocre doctors?
They're for the school. The school system was the number one rated school for medical. It has now dropped. So for the doctors that were going to school,
because they're letting other people in to have a chance.
It was number one. It just dropped. So, and it's all look at it. What's going on? People can hate Trump or whatever. The guy
no reason
loves America.
To.
And
no
how
reason
can
to.
people hate Elon Musk? He's saving 2 people in space.
Yes.
And people in North Carolina they have nothing, no internet. He puts up his own Starlink for free. The guy's amazing, and it's all because he wants to make it better here.
I know. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. It's weird, dude.
I think it's what's going to happen in 5 months, maybe. All the people that don't get it will get it. They have to. They're going to say, my life is better.
Well, it's like how he had, I think he did Zip Trader. I'm not sure. He had PayPal, Okay. Then he has Tesla, Starlink, X.
SpaceX, yeah.
I mean, he's SpaceX. I mean, if Trump is listening to him and he's running the country with Trump, awesome. Guess what? Like, I want the most fucking technologically advanced society.
100%. I'll tell you what's great is, first of all, Robert Kennedy today.
Did he get nominated?
He got in, confirmed.
God bless it.
So he was a Democrat. So he's making it all these people where it's people who are like, I'd never vote for Trump, but I'd vote for Kennedy. He's putting them all together to make things better. It's going to be the golden age. And it's just gotten... Look, for 4 years, I don't know how you felt. I felt like I was depressed. I'm not a depressed kind of guy. When Biden was there, I go, how can the guy, how can that, he's senile. How do you not see, how can people defend this guy? I thought, when Trump got in, I was like, oh my God, all this, it was like a weight. And I think my life, everything's gotten better. The outlook of life is better. Why do
you think, like, I don't know what you're registered as. You're probably an independent like me. I'm barely even registered.
Yeah,
But you're probably a Republican now, let's say. But which everyone talks about how they were the non-cool party, but now they're way cooler than the Democrats, and so it's crazy that you're talking about it, that I'm talking about it. Like, what has society come to that Jamie Kennedy and Kato Kaelin are speaking out? Seriously. Like, what, you know what I mean? It's
I never
like,
cared before.
No, I didn't either. But like all these other people aren't, but they're supposedly cool.
We could go on with stories. I'm sure both of us of how many people have dropped your social. How many people say, you like Trump? Sorry, bye-bye. For myself, I go, bye-bye. You're judge me in this? If the country is better because this guy is, look at, he did all the right move. He never hides in the camera. He answers everybody's questions. And the thing is, promises made, promises kept. So far, he's 3 weeks and he's done everything.
I know. He's right now as we speak is like getting Ukraine and Russia trying to end it.
By the time this airs, it'll be done.
Insane. What is it about? I think it's insecurity. I don't think people really look into it, and I really think it has to do with
insecurity of that person.
Meaning that Trump says things that to me are hilarious.
Right.
But the problem is that people don't understand intention. They just listen to words. They're not really deep people. Okay. So when Trump says, I'll try to do it. A lot of bad hombres. There's a lot of bad hombres. What he's saying is there's bad fucking people coming out of Mexico. Not all Mexicans.
Right.
People take it and they run with it. They smear his fucking name. Exactly. Okay? So so all of Hollywood, I think it comes down to people are scared to say anything that would be considered anti-gay. And I have many gay people in my life and I love, okay? Do whatever you want. I don't think I should have to say that, but if you know me, you know me. But I literally think that somehow, if there's any pushback, it kind of starts with gay. But there's so many gay Republicans I know that are like, this shit's getting ridiculous.
The guy that saved the Republicans is the persistence.
100%.
On Twitter or X is called the persistence. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
They make a different. Rick Grenell, openly gay.
100%.
And the thing is...
And I think that they are so worried about looking like anti-something, and it starts there, but they don't look at the facts. They don't look at the minutia, and they just follow this thing of because there's a few loud, crazy people with blue hair, and they're going, you're a fucking racist, anti-gay, GB, gluten-free.
I'm telling you what's going on now.
And we're over that.
Yeah,
we're like, yo, I'm not a fucking Nazi.
It's done, and
I'm not a Nazi.
I think Hollywood's kind of done with celebrities of
Dude, I hope Hollywood's done with celebrities. I hope it's only analytics because a lot of them are trash.
Well,
they're trash.
The endorsements absolutely mean nothing.
Absolutely fucking nothing, dude.
Because people have caught on, and there's just
dude. How much is De Niro's legacy tainted for what he said?
Yeah,
dude. Dude, I can never watch Casino the same way again. And I'm speaking the fuck out.
And when did this happen? Does he really hate Trump that much? It's like,
why?
Why?
What are you hiding, dude?
What's going on?
What's going on, bro?
I'm telling you something's going to happen.
Sean Penn, too. Ooh. Avery went hard on Penn. God bless him.
What's going to happen is Tom Homan is you know Tom Homan is, right? There's the border patrol. He's the czar.
Yeah, fucking hardcore.
He is. They had leaks about that. FBI leaks coming out of warning them that they're going to be going to a certain place to get rid of the bad criminals, that Trenta de Argra gang.
Mm-hmm.
So they found out that leak came from inside. I'm telling you, he'll take the guy. He's going to go to prison. He's getting rid of gang. Who's defending gang members to be in America killing people like the Lincoln Rileys and all?
Liberals.
It doesn't make any sense.
Insane
but now
Satanists.
The whole thing's happening. Jamie is. I'm telling
you,
this is going to be great.
Tucker Carlson did an interview. So what I love is everyone that Trump's assembling are the excommunicated Avengers.
By the way, he's genius.
Yeah.
He tells the truth. And I go, you don't want to debate Tucker Carlson. He is open. I'd say, really, Phil, by the way, get on his show.
Yeah.
And he's got, but go ahead.
Tucker, Tulsi, everyone, they were maligned for some, Megyn Kelly, and it's like, but they were fucking pillars of the system, and they're discarded, and they're like, I have nothing to lose, right? So he interviewed the president of El Salvador. Do you know what's going on in El Salvador?
The prison that they have the biggest lockup of prisons. Yeah,
dude, there's like a zero tolerance policy, and he's got these guys fucking doing anything, and they fuck up once, but he also, I think, is using them as a workforce. And this guy's incredible. Okay, what I'm reading, but he also exposed SRA, which is satanic ritual abuse, and people don't want to talk about it.
Right.
And he's like, the gang members are fucking split because there's gang members that are like, I cannot be involved with this shit. And it's a dark web, dude. And they're talking about it. And so, but yet people are like, well, why can't these guys have a hotel room in our country?
Yeah. And which they find out, the whole thing with Doge, Department of...
why would you be scared of looking into fucking bad spending? Can you tell me this, Kato?
It doesn't make sense.
Why? Because you're a fucking crook.
And FEMA gave money. That Jean-Pierre woman said FEMA never gave money. Doge, unless they give it already. It's past the $68 million of putting people up in the Roosevelt Hotel in New York. It's just incredible how much we're finding. Every day we find out more and more. It's like they've been scamming. How many years? Maybe during Obama?
Decades.
It's all a scam. And I think they're done.
I think people are like, and they're like, we have to worry about an oligarchy. Why are they so brainwashed?
No, he's not. He's opposite of that.
I know.
He loves the country. He's hiring people to make the country better. Everybody is. It's just top notch. We're going to be living, like I said, this golden age. It's so great.
I didn't get the jab. There's no way you got the jab. Because you know what? Snails. Because that's another thing. All these people that are like, fuck the system, and they're tats and they're vaping, they got 5 fucking jabs.
Yeah.
Isn't it backwards?
I was like, you probably have a lot of medical friends and all that. I had so many people going, do not do this. How can you?
Actual doctors?
Yeah.
Good,
doctors.
yeah.
And also, I live, I think, pretty healthy.
Yeah, you do.
I get health. I mean, if I have flu, I don't know the last time I had the flu, but
I've never even seen you sneeze. I'm serious, and I've been around dusty places with you.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
And you've never sneezed.
My call sign is Kleenex. We
fucking do.
I thought you were looking at somebody. Snails.
Fucking God. Yeah. Bro, will you just start hosting?
Yeah.
Why aren't you doing? Are you doing comedy, by the way?
I'm doing hosting. I'm so set on I've got my podcast, by the way. It's One Degree Scandalous with Tom Zenner. It's doing just great numbers. We write our shows. We get the greatest guest. Jamie's going to be one. And,
I will do it.
It's just fun.
Tell me a little bit about it, because what's going on with the Idaho thing? I just read something last night. They're saying that some blood could actually make it.
Right. Howard Bloom was one of our guests. He's the one that just wrote the article of he was in all the proceedings. He's been down to the house that's been torn down, and he just wrote an article for, I think, Vanity Fair that's out. But he was on our show of the defense is now trying to say the blood's tainted, but I think today it might have got thrown out that they're not going to have it. The Kohlberg case is going to get moved. It won't be in Moscow, Idaho. It doesn't start until it's supposed to be summertime. So we're planning on going down there because we focus on that. We've had a lot of DNA specialist on our show for this new thing they've called it, the genealogist. It's becoming so technology has been so advanced that we're getting these people that how just the smallest blood, not even dry pin, they can find out everything of who it is. The only thing is, can you imagine if someone does plant something? I don't know if it ever happens, but they're finding the blood on the knife sheath, and that's what's kind of tying Goldberger to it all. And we discussed this case that we think that he was a criminal. Criminal law is what he was studying, and maybe the guy just thought he could commit the perfect crime, and he put out to do it.
So he's just a psychopath.
Could be
a cold-blooded sociopath.
We're gonna find out.
Well, I've been to a lot of parties. I've been here for a long time. You have too. Have you talked about Diddy obviously yet?
Not really. He was at a few of the mansion parties.
Yeah.
I don't think he liked me, which is now hindsight. So I'm kind of glad.
Wow.
Yeah, he kind of gave me a brush off, but I was fine with that.
Wow.
But I think we're finding out now. I used to go to those parties and then take people out from the half parties.
I don't know if I ever saw him at
I've
seen him at parties, but I don't know if I saw him at there.
Yeah, he was there quite a few times.
So, I mean, like I tell people, I've had a lot of fun, but I've never seen those type of parties.
You never went to those?
I've seen him at a few parties, but I've never went to his official white party.
But that wasn't that in the Hamptons?
There was that one. But there was ones I think at his house where he would have like
Where was his house at?
I think in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
But like and they talk about the after party. Like I had never seen any of that shit. Like I've seen people hooking up, sure it happens, but not like fucking that. When do you think this drops? And when it drops, how much leveling do you think it's going to do? Because I think it's going to level the town if they allow it to come out.
Oh, I think it's coming out Pam Bondi. I think he's going to come out Epstein's list, and I think also Diddy. I don't think he's he offered $50 million for a bail.
They said no.
I think it's done. I also think Letitia James might be out, and all the Pam Bondi. She's after everybody.
And so, like, it will expose everyone from music down to sports, politics,
everything,
actors, movie stars, TV, reality stars.
Maybe that's how I get my career. Every actor's gone, so I have to be hired.
Yeah, right.
But I think it's going to be exposure. It's devastating. People that you think that are just all American pie, no.
I know, dude, and I think it could fucking completely level this town, which I welcome it.
Do you think any politician had people murdered?
1,000%.
Okay.
Easy.
I didn't want to.
That's a fucking basic question.
I don't know, but
I ain't gonna say the names.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I also like living. But I think it's becoming pretty fucking.
I think that's going to be. We're going to find out they've had.
Great way to say it, by the way.
I really think there's going to be. I really think in the next
if they can
4
expose
years,
Diddy and you get two big names, then it's going to snowball. Then you're going to expose how the agencies know this shit. I'm not saying they may know the depth of the corruption, but they enable bad behavior. Then you're going to see how you're going to see this shit.
So you're saying there's going to be one kind of rat someone's going to just.
I think it'll be me if they do it right. I think it'll be Me Too on steroids. To the point where it'll take a long time where you'll need overcorrection. Because Me Too, there was some overcorrection.
I think you're going to be absolutely right.
And it'll be like, there'll be a lot more than Harvey's.
Harvey's going to go.
And then it's going to go, Harvey, yeah. And then it's going to go Epstein. And that's going to be a whole other thing. I mean, dude, I literally think you're going to see like a fucking bombing because they can't. There's so many high level people are going to go down for this.
Yeah.
Because I believe there's a blackmail. I also believe there's a sick perverted. And I also believe there's a Satan aspect. It's a 3-pronged system.
I also think that Trump and who he hired for the whole Trump administration, the cabinet, I think even 2023, I think he had it all lined up that he's going to win. And he's already been press go. And it's been going on 2023 of his plan of doing everything we're saying. And that's why the day one he was on January 20th, he was signing orders already that day in front of people because he already had it. And his thing was he knew the future and he already planned for it. And it's going, he's always one step, maybe 2 steps ahead of everybody else. or with his administration. That's what's happening.
Dude, I'm getting to the point where I don't even believe actors and musicians make it, as opposed to they're placed.
I could see that. There's tens of talented people that never make it, and it's all image.
But I'm happy with a lot that have made it. Like, there's a lot of people that are talented that have made it.
Oh, completely.
But there's...
Bob Marcucci was a film many years ago called The Idol Maker, which is kind of based on that. You make the idol.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Well, I'm a believer of this whole thing as a work, like wrestling, and that I've come so, I don't know, it might be crazy in a lot of people's eyes, but I believe that everyone, like a lot of celebs, are just puppets. And the people that break through the system like I did, is just in spite of. And I did very well, but there's a certain point I stopped because maybe they knew that I wasn't corruptible.
You're from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So what was your first film?
First film was Romeo and Juliet. Second one was Scream.
Romeo and Juliet with Leo?
Mm-hmm.
So we have so much in common with these stories. I know we have time, but I even have stories about that. It's just incredible.
Tell one more.
Well, at that time, Leo was seeing someone named Kristen Zhang.
Yeah, I know Kristen.
Kristen's
sweet.
I was
beautiful
too.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember going to a picnic.
She dated Nick Cage, and then she dated Leo. Yeah.
I was there during the whole time because 90s. So there was Baz Luhrmann directed it.
Do you know the song, right? People would say, "Despite all the rage, Leo's still not Nicolas Cage."
That's so
because apparently, he was. I don't know. Maybe he's the biggest stud in the world, but maybe back in the day, he didn't want Nick to come back for Kristen. Go ahead.
Oh. So I just kind of knew that story that I was at that picnic and. Baz Luhrmann was in Griffith Park, I think.
What picnic?
Yeah, well, I guess you were invited.
For my movie?
Romeo and Juliet.
What was the picnic for?
It was a picnic for the cast in that.
When?
When the movie was released. I just remember it.
Where was it at?
Griffith Park, like at one of the picnic areas.
How many people were there?
I feel bad that maybe you were working craft service. It was crowded.
I might not have gone.
At least 50 people.
I might have been working.
Yeah.
I might have been on another set.
So
I think I remember that. No, because I went to a lot of the events.
And it's funny too because everybody knows Scream. You're a huge part of Scream. Do you know that I was the host for 4 years of Wizard World, the world's largest traveling Comic-Con, and I can't believe that you.
Now it's GalaxyCon. They bought them.
Right. I am.
You were the host.
I was. So
at World, cons for
Wizard
panels.
Wizard World had a stage when you'd walk in, a stage where it was America's Got Talent. So we had a booker for every city. I traveled 20 cities a year. We go at a booker. So if I'm in Chicago, we'd have magicians. It's Kato Kaelin. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wizard World. And I ended every show at 7 p.m. We did Kato Roki, where actors would come up. We had oh God, Tom, the cast always from Smallville. They were great.
Tom Welling, Rosenbaum,
would come on stage. We had bands performing. I had some of the most fun of my life. So I did that 4 years. John Mata, president of Warner Brothers for 29 years, hired me. One of my dearest friends today, one of the biggest entertainment lawyers in the business, and he's one of my dearest friends.
Yeah.
And so I did travel 4 years, and I don't know if you were ever.
I think I saw you at one. I used to love Wizard World.
So
they're not around anymore.
Philadelphia was one of our biggest shows.
I don't know. I never really did that one. I did New Orleans.
So I remember Philadelphia show because Stan Lee was also a pad. There was a mile-long line for him to get his autograph. It was around the convention center all the way. I've never seen anything like it.
Do you do cons now?
I didn't because they sold.
But you sign autographs?
No, but a company just
contacted
me.
If you want, I can tell you off air.
Yeah.
Because you could.
Yeah, it'd be great.
No, you would, because there's pop culture cons, there's horror cons, but it's the biggest thing ever now.
Incredible. I emceed a lot of the what do you call it when you do the set thing when you go in and where the actors come on, and the big thing you have the audience, the
panel.
Michael Harris. What's his name?
Panel.
No, Doogie Howser. I'm kidding.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris.
No, it's a panel.
All the panels. I used to do those.
You used to host
my
them.
thing. I did those, but I always was on stage. Jamie, I'd work 11 straight hours. I would rarely take a break.
I know you love it.
Yeah.
You love it.
I would get all the energy. And we had huge crowds. And then they'd say, go meet Jamie Kennedy. Jamie's over by the screen posters down there and everybody. And then we all would be at the same hotel.
He's by
and it was so much fun to be in the hotels. They always took care of you.
Yeah.
And one of the great guys that was Captain America.
Chris Evans.
Winter Soldier is huge.
Jeremy Renner.
No.
Bucky.
Bucky.
Yeah. Sebastian Stan is up for best actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just you meet great people.
Yeah.
But I also think that a lot of them didn't think the way we're thinking today's show. Maybe they do now.
Ooh, you're calling that out. You're saying
possibly
they're not. That's what's crazy. I don't know if they are, but you're saying they play Patriots.
No, they play Patriots, right? And
isn't that crazy?
It is crazy, but I would think I never ever would during the shows. I never would even talk politics at the bar or the dinners we had, because
that's the woke fake ideology to keep the 15 million a year coming in because it's being pushed down on them, or some of them are brainwashed, and you have to wonder why.
But it's changing.
It is changing, but it has to literally go into the balls of Disney and be like, fucking, this has to change. It has to go. So we'll see.
Disney's so woke.
Dude, beyond but you have to hope. Netflix also is so woke. I almost think it's a government operation. But it's like Larry Ellison's son just bought, which is really Larry. If you look at the actual the stock certificates, that Larry really owns Paramount now. So he's going to have his ideas of what it is. But I don't think they're as woke as other people.
Wait, Larry
Ellison owns Oracle. His son bought Paramount.
Wasn't Larry?
Well, he's been Trump the first day, so I think he is. But there's a little vaccine thing he was talking about, which is a little weird. So I don't know. Dude, name your pod.
That's 1 Degree Scandalous.
And when it comes out every what? Does it have a day?
We do 2 a week.
2 a week, okay.
So, it's updated, and we do true crime, but we do everything, and we have humor in it. It's just lots of fun.
Thank you, buddy.
I love it, man.
I appreciate you coming on, dude. You're amazing. You want to come back anytime? Look at we can.
Hey, honestly, buddy, you are great. I always loved you, and I'm not just kissing ass here. You are great.
There's nothing wrong with it. A little bit of it.
La 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 la. You just pulled a doogie on me.
Watch his pod.